I'm J.D. Green. I've been a face on the radio in Vermont for well over 20 years. And although I've loved my career in radio, I had a vision about bringing my connection to the community to a different platform, to social media, where I could create a blueprint of a podcast that's something constantly evolving, knowing that there's always room for new experiences and learning, discovery, exploration, new questions to ask, and answers to be sought after. A program without limitations, but still with intention to tell a more in-depth story behind what makes us tick, what inspires us, what makes us realize that the what and when is only secondary to the how. And it's the how and the why that I want to uncover. It's my hope with this podcast that I can inspire, inform, that we can learn together and tell the bigger stories behind our lives. That's our story. My real story off the air. I'll try to push the boundaries, arouse your curiosity, and ask the questions you want answers to. Maybe questions no one's asked. The good and the not so good. What's going on in Vermont as well as across our great country. Things you'll agree with, things you might not. It's my hope to laugh with you, cry with you, entertain and enlighten you, but mostly learn with you. Please make sure to support your local public access TV station, subscribe to my YouTube podcast, Aired Out, engage by sharing your comments, and invite your friends to be part of it too. Thanks for tuning in. This is Aired Out. Welcome to Aired Out here on YouTube. Thanks so much for subscribing. Fly in the Wall Productions and CVTV, Public Access Television 192 and 194 CVTV723.org. Peak Entertainment of Vermont, New Hampshire, weddings, parties, special events, peakdj.com. FGB Theaters, the Capitol Showcase, or Showplace rather, in Montpelier, and Paramount Theater in Barrie, home of the FGB movie card and $5 ticket Tuesdays. Gift cards too, all at fgbtheaters.com. CBD Crave, superior quality brands shipped straight to your door. Quench the crave. cbdcrave.com. And Fontaine Forestry and Millworks of East Montpelier. Native lumber, custom cut, rough, kiln drying, planed, tongue and groove, shiplap, they do it all. Hemlock bark mulch by the yard or the bag. Route 14, just below Bragg Farm. I'm J.D. Green, and with me on Aired Out this time around is, I don't know if I should say my old boss or just John Gales. I'll go with John Gales to begin with.
That'll do.
The publisher, do we say owner? Of Central Vermont Magazine and Best of Burlington Magazine, and of course Brew View. This is like the trifecta now. I mean, you've got it all, my man.
Yeah, Brew View just came out. It's Brew View Vermont. Just came out. First issue came out in October. The second issue is now out. You see it on the table here. Came out in January.
Wow.
Winter issue.
So it's you and your wife Robin who are the main publishers.
Right.
Of this.
It's us, chief cook and bottle washer, as they say.
This is it.
Yeah, but
wow.
I mean, we contract Robbie Alterio as our magazine designer. She's wonderful. Robbie Cat Designs. If anybody needs anything done, she's fabulous. Our ad design is Hutchins Media out of New London, New Hampshire, actually. And that's Janet Hutchins. And Janet's been with us from the beginning. She does phenomenal ad work. Great to work with. I would give her a huge plug. Again, Hutchins Media. Janet's terrific. So they handle that, and then we have editors, we have copywriters. Robin does most of the editing, but we do have some copywriters go through things. That's about it.
Wow.
And then we have a printer, and we put it in the mail or deliver it or whatever.
Yeah, and is it free?
Yes, absolutely. It's a little different. All right, so Best of Burlington and Best of Central Vermont magazines are mailed directly into homes. I pull the zip code. Look at the income level, look at the age, look to see if they're a homeowner or not. And then we mail them free into homes. Central Vermont is, if you drew a map, it would be Northfield north to Hardwick, west to Smugs, south down 100 and so forth down to Warren and then back over. So Barry, Montpelier, Waterbury, Sugarbush, Middlesex, Stowe, Morrisville, Hardwick, Northfield, like I said. That's central. And then we also mail central to the primary addresses of second homeowners in Stowe, Sugarbush, and Smug. So if I owned a home or condo in Stowe and I live in Connecticut, I get it in Connecticut at that address. Best of Burlington is mailed directly into homes as well. They're 100,000 plus household income. Charlotte, up Route 7 all the way through to the islands, and then back east to Williston, Jericho, Underhill, Essex. But again, it's mailed into homes. Both of these are in about, they're in hundreds of hotel rooms too.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Brewview, but first off, Best of Burlington, that was the first of the three.
The first issue, I actually started working on that. I left the first time my gig working in Barrie.
And we're gonna talk about that. We'll get into that for sure.
I left that the first time in July 31st, 2007. August 1st, 2007 was the first day I officially started working for Coffee Table Publishing and Best of Burlington magazine.
And you created that with your wife, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. We have a partner, Bob Frisch, who is my brother-in-law, actually.
Yeah.
But Bob and I were together in radio for years, from 1990 through about 2001.
Sure.
And then, ironically, he came back again with a company that you and I both worked for, Nassau Broadcasting.
Yeah.
But he has his own magazines. He bought 3 of them. Hanover magazine called Here in Hanover.
Now, wait a second. Do we want to give Bob Frisch a shout-out right
Absolutely.
now? Is he the
Why
competitor?
Not? No. Though sometimes he thinks he is, but no. No, not at all.
No, give him a shout.
Yeah, absolutely. Here in Hanover magazine, Woodstock magazine, and Image magazine. He had those and has those, and we kind of use that model to go off of to start Best of Burlington. But then this thing happened in 2008 called the recession, the crash, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Crash.
And I was telling you earlier, we lost about a third of our advertisers in a week.
Yeah, at this point, it was which magazine?
Just Best of Burlington.
Just Best of Burlington.
Yep.
Okay.
And but we lost quite a lot, and I had to get back into radio actually in 2009, about 8 months after that.
Yeah.
Started just selling again, advertising, and then wound up being the general manager again in Barrie, and being the second time I was your boss.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Wow. And we have so much to talk about that, but I want to stay on the magazines at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So Best of Central Vermont was born second.
Yes.
Am I right?
It was the day after I left Barrie the second time.
Yeah.
Nassau Broadcasting, whom we worked for, sold the stations, and the current owners of the stations up on the hill there, whatever their name, Great Eastern.
Yes.
Okay.
Great Eastern Radio.
Great Eastern Radio. Okay. Yeah. They, I know the people, Jeff Shapiro, Wally Caswell. Anyway, they took over, and Wally took over as general manager. So I started Best of Central Vermont because I thought there was a need.
Yeah.
And there seems to be. I mean, It's very popular. And then Brewview we started last year. We had a little thing in between. We put out an issue once a year called Trend Watch, which was all homes and that, but it just was a lot of work. And Brewview is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of promotional opportunities with it, which I missed in radio.
Yeah.
And we're having a blast with it. And the whole brew, and this isn't just, we'll talk about Brewview more in depth, but it's not just breweries. It's the craft beer industry. It's the distilleries. It's the wine. It's the ciders that's going on. And the whole lifestyle that goes with it. So it's crazy.
Which is massive. I mean, it's just I know you've got some statistics about Vermont that we've chatted about. I don't know if you have them off the top of your head right now, but I know Vermont is just cranking.
Well, I don't remember exactly how the statistic went, so forgive me for not being exactly right. But I had read somewhere, or somebody had told me, that there are more people, or just as many people, visiting to see the breweries and taking the brew tours and all of that, and the distilleries and all that, as there are skiers coming into the state, which is phenomenal.
Massive.
Yeah. And everybody's, you can, unlike skiing you have to do it one place, where you'll see promotions come up, and they're doing all kinds of things, such as mountain bike racing and fashion shows and just different things like that. And they'll have pop-up tastings. So the brewery goes to you. or the distillery goes to you. I was at an event the other day where there was a brewer on the first floor and a distiller on the next floor, just giving out samples and talking and showing, getting people to try their products.
Huge
Yeah,
biz right
it's
now.
fun.
Where's it popping the most in Burlington? Do you think? Or
Well, it's you would think. Yeah, I mean, as far as amounts of breweries per capita, I guess, or whatever. First of all, Vermont has the most. It's number one. The other thing is that I don't know if you're aware, but there are 2 different breweries that have put out recognized world-class products.
Yeah, that's right.
Hill Farmstead was voted number 1 brewery in the world.
Greensboro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
World.
Yeah, in the world. I mean, I understand, and I'm not 100. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't seen it. But my understanding is they're lined up. People are lined up from out of state to get into Hill Farmstead, Saturday morning.
Huge line.
Huge. But yeah, that one, and then of course Alchemist with Hetty Topper was voted the best beer in the world. So that's pretty substantial. The craft, the big beer makers, Miller, Budweiser, so forth, Anheuser-Busch, they are consistently losing double-digit consumption per year, consistently. And the craft breweries are all bringing it up. But again, they're making it an event. When you go to a brewery, they have games.
There's
they have
music.
Yeah, they have music. They have food.
Yeah.
It's just it's an event.
Sure it is.
Yeah. So.
Of course it is. Mm-hmm. And look at this and I'm not sure if they're an advertiser of yours, but if they're not, they should be. Is Dog River. Right here in Berlin.
Talk to them, sure.
I mean, you talk about games and stuff. You go in there. You got shuffleboard.
Yep.
You got darts, and it's just a happening.
I think
place.
what we're going to do is we're going to form a team.
Yeah.
The Brewview team, Vermont
All right.
team, and we'll be skilled shuffleboard, foosball. What do you think? We could have T-shirts and go around. I have T-shirts as they are anyway.
I think it's great as long as I'm not going to be on your team.
To be honest with you, I would love to do a tournament because a lot of them have like Trivia Pursuit. So have a Trivia Pursuit tournament, and the winners of each one.
That's not a bad idea.
That kind of
or
fun
trivia
stuff.
night.
Yeah, everybody does trivia night though. It's just,
what? So when you first off, where's Brewview? It's everywhere.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
Okay, so a little different. What we did was we that's Brewview. Just quickly on this cover. That cover was taken by the marketing director or the marketing person for Stowe Cider. That's a picture of the Stowe Cider tuned up can. And it shows the red gondolas like Stowe, and he's sitting on a trail of Stowe, and he took it as he's holding it up. We do a contest every issue. That's not a contest, but we offer the opportunity for people to send us their covers if they think it's a good cover. We received that from Taylor, and immediately I emailed him back and said, "Can I have it? Can I have the rights to it?" And he absolutely agreed. Wow. That's a beautiful cover.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so it's very different. Brewview we wanted to make accessible to anyone and everyone. So it's in every rest area as you come in the state.
Okay.
Doesn't matter which side you come in. You come in Route 4 from New York, over by Rutland. It's there.
Yeah.
The first rest area you hit.
The distribution on this magazine is insane.
It's up to 20,000.
Is it really?
Up to. I mean,
so it's hotels?
The first couple of issues. Yeah. First couple of issues, I didn't quite hit that mark.
Yeah.
But I'm growing toward it. Yeah.
Right.
But it's tens of thousands. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's hotels, bars, restaurants, grocery stores, rest areas. A guy named Bill Orleans who owns PP&D Distribution, I highly recommend him as well.
Sure.
He's terrific. But Bill just gets you a list of where you want to put it and check it off, and he gets it done.
I'll tell you something, John. If folks have family members that are coming up for a wedding this summer or this spring, or they're coming up to just enjoy Vermont as a tourist in the coming year, not only should you drop one of these magazines in the mail to them ahead of time, but make sure that they've got the website, Brewview VT.
The entire issue is available online. Every one of these magazines is
and
online.
you literally can flip
read
through
it
the
right
pages.
online, and every ad is linked. So if it's something that you like, you can click on it and go to their
If
site.
you got a family member from out of state that's coming here who loves microbrews, they got to know
Brewview
before
VT.
they get here.
Well, it's called. It's the website's brewviewvt.com. VT is in Vermont. This, if we can get a shot of that, is the map of Vermont, and that has every brewery, distillery, cidery, and winery of Vermont on it.
Wow.
And next to it, over on this page, is the key.
Yes, the key.
So it tells you. So all of them are numbered, and it'll tell you exactly where they are. So when you come into the state and you want to plan your trip, you can look right there.
Right.
The other thing that we did was we did a list of every distillery, every tap room, every distillery, every cidery, where they're located, what their hours are, when they are open, what their website is, what town they're in. So you can literally go through that and say, well, which one do I like? Look at that. I like Alchemist. Oh, there it is. It's open then. Great. That kind of thing. So.
And for the guys that their wives are deciding where they go, that's no problem. If they already know where they're going to go, they just open up the map there and they know all of the breweries.
Well, and then you just put Stowe in the mix on something like that, or Burlington. Yeah, it goes.
Sure.
But yeah, it's I literally was calling on breweries and distilleries one day, and I had two couples from Connecticut follow me inadvertently. Every stop I made, they were right behind me, stopping to sample and buy a T-shirt and get this, and so we got to talking, and they're from Connecticut and up for the weekend, and all that. Yeah, it's fun.
So the inception of this magazine, it really almost started. Correct me if I'm wrong here. With your son Teddy.
It did start with him.
So what happened?
He was home for Christmas a year ago this last Christmas, and he was flying back to Chicago. He's an actor in Chicago.
Young guy in his 20s.
Yeah, he's in a commercial that runs around here. I would be terrible not to mention a New England Toyota commercial.
Please
I don't know if anybody's seen it, but he's the driver of the truck that says, if you're going to buckle up, fellas, this could get bumpy, and they go over a bump. That's my son. I'm driving that. But at any rate, that's Teddy. He was flying home, got stuck on a tar mat in Chicago for hours, and dreamed up kind of the whole thing, sketched it all out, called his mother first, smart man.
Yeah.
Called his mother first.
A decision maker.
Yeah, exactly. And then her and I talked about it, then we called him, and we sat on the phone for probably 2.5, 3 hours just mapping everything out, name, how we distribute it, who do we want to go after. The whole premise of Brewview is to promote, celebrate, and educate the population, so to speak, or the reader, on the industry, and not just brews, but distilleries too, and ciders, but also the lifestyle, the pets, the meals, the
vehicles,
the recreation that they do, all that. We don't try and be political. Don't want to be political. Let someone else do that. And same with our other magazines. We try to be very positive, try to show a really positive, upbeat picture of the area.
Your writers are fantastic. Your photographers
are... Is that because you're one of them?
No, that's not at all. But your photographers are incredible.
Thank you.
And you guys really know how to dial in and put the spotlight on some not only great breweries, but also the festivals that go with them.
Yeah.
And there's so many.
Yeah. It's crazy. I can... Like I said, it's just us, so I'll do the Facebook page. I have a social media person, but I like to do the Facebook. I feel like I kind of keep in touch with things if I do it.
So how does a guy like yourself in his 40s
Thank you.
so connected with social media? I mean, you and I
got
together
not
long ago.
I am so connected with social media.
No, you're teaching me things. You're showing not that I'm that much younger than you.
No.
I'm just saying, you are one savvy man with social media.
I got a lot to learn, but thanks.
No, you don't. Yeah. You've got it all dialed in.
No, I think I do, and then I sit down with Caroline, who's our social media person.
Yeah, we got to talk about her. She's amazing.
We'll have 5 minutes of conversation, and the next thing, and then I realize I am so far over my head. But no, thank you. I appreciate that.
We
try. Look, this audience that we're reaching is 25-49.
That's right.
That's where they're at, and that's how we have to reach them. That's why a lot of people say print. Why would you do print? But it's very niched.
Yeah.
As you said.
Yeah.
And but we want to make it as fun and easy and short and kind of as we possibly can.
Now, your sales team, do
I am the sales team.
You're the sales team.
Yes.
But is there a little bit of hesitation, apprehension about someone advertising in a magazine because of, the stigma of print is, print is dying.
Yeah, we run into it daily.
Print is dying. Who's reading magazines now anyways?
Right.
But this is such a high-end magazine?
I will tell you that if a potential client, gives me some time to sit down with that person and show them exactly who we reach and how we reach,
Oh, yeah.
then normally those apprehensions we can deal with. Those are it could be more of a just exactly who they want to reach, or that kind of thing. But Central Vermont is adults with a little bit upper income, homeowners, that kind of demo where so you don't have to, if you're buying like a newspaper, that gets to a lot of people.
Right.
But maybe not necessarily everyone you want to reach.
Sure.
A car dealer obviously a tire person, that kind of thing. But, so that's why it's niche. You'll see a lot of fashion in them. You'll see a lot of restaurants, that kind of thing.
Home decor,
Yeah,
food.
yeah,
And your
exactly.
recipe stuff is
Yeah,
really
recipe
cool.
stuff, yep.
I was actually laying in bed last night looking through some of the recipes, trying to map out and plan out meals for the coming week. There's some really, really good stuff in there.
Yeah, there is. That's all Robin. That's all she either thinks of the idea and happen, or we have a writer that will, somebody that'll send us a suggestion on it, and then she'll run with it and say exactly what you need. You were talking about photography too.
Yeah.
It's amazing that when you explain to people what you need, they come up with their own photography, or they have their photography. And it really, and you know what? Now iPhones can take a quality picture to be printed.
Sure, of course.
But it's or Android phones. But a lot of people say, "God, your photography's fabulous." Well, some of it we hire photographers to do, but others they send it in, and But we know, I have a really good. Robin is phenomenal at a good eye on what looks good. My magazine designer is phenomenal on that as well.
Yeah, throw out some names of some of these photographers and folks.
Well, around here, we've used Jed Wallace many times. Steve, I can't remember Steve's last name, but he just retired.
Okay.
But there are some top-level home interior, like Susan Tier, Jim Westphalen. There's a new one that she's great. But do some incredibly good work. But they normally do it for the client, and then the client gets permission to use it, and we'll use it and use their name or whatever, and so forth.
This is not a Best of Burlington, Best of Central Vermont. Not a magazine that's only about fashion and home decor and jewelry. I mean, you got some high ropes course stuff in there, and people that are so active and It's
to educate and kind of, we want people to go through it, and when they're done with it, feel a little bit better about the place, or a sense of pride, or I didn't know that was there.
Exactly.
Or little gems of people who have done some things that you never realized. We did. I believe it's in that one that fall, but the New Yorker magazine, Ed. Illustrator. No, it's in winter now that I think about it.
Okay.
Ed, can't remember his last name. This is my wife's territory. But he does. You recognize right off that he's a New York Times. Oh, that's that New Yorker magazine illustrator.
Yeah.
Well, he lives locally, and he's constantly out doing stuff.
Yeah.
So we caught up with him and did a story on him, and people are like, I never knew that person lived here, kind of thing.
And we just had a magazine that just perished not long ago, wasn't it? Vermont Yankee or
Vermont Life
or Vermont Life.
Vermont Life was, but see, Vermont Life is state funded.
Yeah.
So it was losing money, and the state got to a point where they just didn't want to fund it anymore, which I can understand.
Okay.
We're privately funded, and may I mention I have a 14-year-old who needs to go to college. So
yes.
Hey.
Right. Right. Exactly.
No, I mean we're privately funded, and there are several others out there that are as well.
Yeah. Wow. So let's talk about you and I a little bit, and how we met each other. This was several years ago. I don't know how many years ago it was now, but your story is that you have been in radio forever.
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
But you've been in management, so you've
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about where you've been at the helm.
Well, I started in radio selling in 1990 at a little bitty station called WXXK, Kicks 1017 out of Newport, New Hampshire at the time. and that was owned by my brother-in-law, Bob Frisch, who we just talked about. Bob hired me to come work for him out of Florida. I actually moved out of Florida to here.
Wow.
Yeah. But we wanted to raise kids up here. We loved the area, and it's
Yeah.
just a great place to raise
Sure.
kids and so forth. So that's what we did. Got up here and did that for 11 years. And by the time he sold to Clear Channel, I was a manager and wanted to be a general manager. And then that's how we wound up. I wound up in Rutland. Long story short, I went to Boston for a year or so forth. But wound up in Rutland running for your friend of mine, Ken Barlow's station.
WEXP.
EXP, the Fox 101, the Fox.
Yeah.
Had just a tremendous fun time. And built that station. It was struggling a little bit, and we just turned it into something really cool. So Nassau Broadcasting wound up buying that, and along with a lot of other stations. And when your general manager at the time, Chris Bjorkman, left, they asked me to come to Barrie and take over those stations. So that's how you and I met. I think you and I met with the day I walked in and said, I am no Chris Bjorkman and I am no Ken Barlow.
Yes. I remember that speech very well. Very well. And
don't hold me to that.
man, and we've had some great times. One of the things that you were so great about is that you just let programming do what they needed to do. You didn't get too involved. You just kind of took a step back and you trusted.
Well, programming wasn't my background.
Well,
So
I'm
I could
aware,
sit there
but-
all day long and walk in and say what I think. I know this and I know that. And I learned from a program director, actually, Kelly Kowalski out of Rutland, that I hired.
Sure.
And I learned very quickly from Kelly that if you've got someone who knows what they're doing, you leave them alone and let them
Leave
go.
them alone. Yeah, I mean, you gave everybody a loose enough leash to hang ourselves, but you also you just didn't babysit us. You allowed us to pursue promotionally what we thought might be a good fit for the radio station and just get it done.
Well, I love promotions. I absolutely love.
Well,
I think
you
a radio
incorporate
station,
those similar promotions into your magazine.
If you're not doing a promotion on your radio station, doing something wrong, as far as I'm concerned. I love them. Be it just little contests to big giving away a house or cars or concerts or whatever.
Sure.
Ronald Reagan once said, "Trust but verify."
Yeah.
That's how I went about things. I tell just to communicate what you need and trust that it's getting done and verify it's getting done.
Sure.
And if it's not, then you got a problem. But
Sure.
no, I mean you guys were great. I walked into just a smooth running, veteran running place. I didn't have to worry. Now Rutland was different.
Yeah.
Rutland was totally. I turned over that entire staff, but almost. But no, Barrie, I knew it didn't need to be played with too much at all.
Yeah. And we've remained friends. It's
Yes.
unbelievable.
Well, and actually, you know what?
Unbelievable.
You know what? I will say that we've become closer friends
Yes.
since I left, and I think the reason being
For
is
sure.
I think you get an appreciation for people when you're on the other side of the fence.
Sure. Hindsight is 20/20 as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Look back, you were very, I guess, strict. Maybe that came from your military background. I don't know, but you just
sure.
you laid it down. You said how it was going to be, and that was that. And but you respected everybody, and most importantly, you treated everyone fairly. Everyone was on a level playing field.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's why I think so many of us that were up at the radio station still respect you and have a high regard for you very much, John.
I appreciate that.
We had some good times. So what do you think? What was the best part of working with JD? As my former boss, what did you like about me the most? Greatest asset.
Well, you asked me this to make a list, and I got
Make a list.
I got to one, and that's as far as I could get. So. No. Well, what did I like working with you? I always knew that you had your listeners' concerns and your listeners' backs first with the station, and sometimes that's hard. And you were able to draw the line between advertiser and listener, or which can be faded sometimes, or promotion director and listener, that kind of thing. But you always, I always knew and you always did work on your show. You were always wanting to make sure that your show was entertaining and giving people a reason to stay. Which, if you get that in radio, you're doing pretty good. If you get someone on the air that's aware of that and strives for that every day.
What about the greatest weakness of old JD? Oh, look, he's got to think about it.
No.
He's got to think about it.
No, I that would probably be your biggest weakness too.
Really?
Yeah, because there are a lot of times where I've seen you go out of your way for a listener on something that happened or whatever, and sometimes I'd have to remind you, that's great, but I need this done, or I didn't, Jim did, but
Sure,
your
right.
boss, but I would tell Jim, or Jim knew it anyway, but
Right.
yeah, or Jim would come and tell me and say, he's slow on this because of blah, 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 and I had to tell him,
Right. Sure.
But I would much rather have that than someone who didn't care,
Yeah. Sure.
so.
Yeah. What do you think about radio these days? Where's it going?
Different. It is. It has completely changed. I don't know if you're aware of it out there, but if you're listening to a radio station, depending on the station locally, but I could tell you that most local stations here are taped, which means that let's put it this way. And when I was in Barrie, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, full-time air people. Now there's 2, I think.
Sure.
So that's 2 people doing the work of 5.
Sure.
They bring in any stations now, and not just them, but all stations, a lot of stations, and they have to cut cost. Will bring in. They'll say, let's say you have a jock that works their station in Orlando, just as a place, but that person would tape or record their entire show in Orlando, send it up to Barrie, Montpelier, and play it in Barrie like that person's there. Hey, it's 78 degrees. Not 78, but and not right now.
Right.
But it's 12 degrees, and snow's coming, but they're not local at all.
We call it out of market voice tracking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's very big. But radio. You have to do things like that because revenues are going down, 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 down. Because listeners are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, a radio rate right now, I can tell you that a radio rate probably hasn't increased in that are being sold. I bet you that the same rate is being sold now than it was 4 years ago. So there's no.
So the consolidation is a direct result of revenue being down. Revenue's down because listeners are.
But they have so many other choices.
Streaming.
Spotify.
Pandora.
Streaming, Pandora, Sirius, and even Sirius is taking hits. But I mean, Spotify now and Pandora is, that you can literally, as can go on and listen to whatever you want to.
Sure.
Where radio is going to succeed and where it's going to fill a niche is stations like DEV, such as yourselves and 101. You guys. It's local. And as long as you have that, people will find a way to listen because they want to know what's going on.
Yeah. When you listen to a disc jockey, they're live.
Yeah,
they're really
and
live.
But you see them and that they're you follow them on Facebook and you see that they were at Moore's Farm with Sugar on Snow this weekend or just different things like that. So
yeah.
But I don't want to say anything bad about radio. I think
Yeah.
radio serves its purpose. I love radio.
Sure.
I don't. I'm just saying that's the industry now.
You, as I just alluded a little while ago, you have incorporated some of your promotional style from radio into some of these magazines. You get these magazines that there's really, really cool contests going on.
Well, that's all Brew View. A little bit of Centrals, but Centrals of the best ofs. They kind of take care of themselves though. But yeah, Brew View is all going to be all promotion. The audience loves it. There's a need for it. You got to be relevant. You got to stay relevant. We're going to be giving away stuff all the time. We're doing things like there's a thing called Safe Ride.
Yeah, it's on the back of Brew View, Safe Ride, and you and I were just chatting about this not too long ago.
Yeah, that's starting up officially with the next issue, but it'll be an 800 number if you've had a little bit too much to drink and you are in the Barrie Montpelier metro area, or you're in the Burlington metro area, and you had a little bit too much to drink. You can call Green Cab and tell them you want a Safe Ride. and up to 50 rides a month, you can get a ride home for free. It's a mile radius, but up to 4 people.
Now, who pays for that?
We do. All the sponsors do. Yeah.
But
you know, I mean, if we're going to put out a magazine that encourages drinking, we should at least put out a magazine that also encourages, you know, also have a message, but do it responsibly.
Up to 50 rides a year?
A month.
A month?
A month. Yep, for up to 4 people. Yep.
That's some partying right there.
Well, I will warn anyone out there that you cannot take advantage of it. You can't just say, "Oh, great, I'm not going to drive for the rest of my life drinking here."
Wow.
And you shouldn't drink and drive anyway. Period. But no. It's if people abuse it, they'll know because they're keeping track.
Wow.
And they'll turn down service. They can
Sure.
do that.
Of course.
But yeah, it's called Safe Ride. So we got that going on. We sell T-shirts. We have bumper stickers, not bumper stickers, but decals, Euro decals.
What's the deal on the? There's
the
a great
T-shirt.
deal in here on the T-shirts. No, I love this.
All right, so I have a lot of gift certificates from various restaurants in the area, and not just this area, Burlington too. So we want to sell T-shirts. Now we started very small with this, but we have men's and women's large and extra large. I mean, just men's large and extra large, in one color. There you go. Right there. You can see that over there. But at any rate, so what we're doing is, there you go. And it's on the website, brewvt.com. But we're for $19.99 plus shipping and handling. You get a T-shirt, you get a $20 gift certificate, and you get a Euro decal that we have.
That's so cool.
So basically, you're buying a T-shirt and can go out to a restaurant for $20.
What are some of your favorite sponsors in here? I know the Cornerstone.
They're all my favorite. JD.
Well, of course. But I know the Cornerstone. You're a little partial to. And
yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know whoever out there knows Keith and Rich, but if you've ever seen a couple guys who are doing everything they can just to make the community nice and to build it and get rid of, you know, the image of Barry or whatever. Those guys are it, and anything I can do to help them, I'm going to do it. I love Barry. I like I said, I ran radio stations in Barry. I love Barry. So anything I can do to help, you know, that I will.
Wow.
So yeah, those guys are great. I think one of my favorite things to see in the magazine as I'm flipping is Whistle Pig.
Yeah.
Rye. I happen to be a fan of Whistle Pig, first of all, and it's kind of cool. Seeing my son, we were at a bar in Chicago and seeing Whistle Pig there, you know, and I had that. And he took us to a bar that had Citizen Cider, which was cool, a cider bar. But at any rate, but that's kind of cool to see. You know, their tasting room is on Route 100, so they're advertising that. Our buddy.
I meant to tell you, Caldwell Banker, I know is
outside back cover. She just renewed it again for the year.
Yeah. So I mean, does this cost you an arm and a leg to get the back?
I will not say what that costs,
cover?
Sue.
No, I'm just saying. You know, I mean,
it's Caldwell Banker, Sue Aldridge, and she used to work for me actually in radio, in Barry, but she owns that and she's terrific. But yeah, that's the outside back cover, and she just renewed it. Yeah,
she's a great lady.
Yes, she is. Very active.
Super
very
lady.
active.
Yeah. So what's next? We have a spring issue that's going to be.
We do.
Actually, this is a quarterly. We should have been mentioning this all
these
along.
are quarterly. The best ofs are quarterly. Brewview, I'm not exactly holding it to quarterly because I don't want to be handcuffed to that, I guess.
Sure.
So the Central Vermont spring issues are done. They're at the printer.
Okay.
The covers are just, matter of fact, the new cover was just posted. I think I gave it to you, sent it to you. But the new covers are just posted. So that's done. This is an older issue. This is spring of last year.
Okay.
Because I'm completely out of winter to Burlington's. The cover was phenomenal if you saw it.
So on distribution day, you and Robin get up at around 1 o'clock in the morning. You pack up the back of your Chevy Chevette. And the two of you hit the road around
Chevy Chevette.
And the two of you hit the road around.
Second of all, I don't get up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning.
No,
and
I do.
You drive to 20,000.
Okay, so my printer ships them to the post office, the best ofs to be shipped to the homes. But I also pick up about 1,200 sometimes 800 copies myself. I'll drive down to Hooksett, where they are, and pick them up. And Brewview I have shipped up to, again, PP&D, Bill Orleans. He puts them out, but he'll also hold mine for me, and I pick them up right there.
What made you say, what made you and Robin say, yeah, we, instead of doing 2 magazines, great idea, let's do 3?
Well,
I mean, honestly, buddy, when I heard about Brewview, I didn't know how you were going to do it. I mean, you're busy. You're so busy with Best of Central Vermont and Best of Burlington.
well, email certainly helps.
Yeah.
No, I drive a lot, and I'm on the road a lot. I need salespeople. Anybody out there that would like to talk to me, it's Coffee Table Publishing at Comcast.net. Coffee Table Publishing at Comcast.net. It's commission sales, but would love to talk to you. So how do I do it? We just do it. I just get on the road, and I'm either calling or emailing or calling on you, to stopping in to see you.
Wow. So what about distribution? This is a company that drops everything?
Well, for Brewview it is.
Yeah.
It's called PP&D Distribution.
Okay.
It's out of Burlington.
Yeah.
He does all the rack cards you see. He does all the...
And what about the best ofs?
Those are mailed directly into homes, and
those
then
are mailed.
I distribute the rest myself personally.
Okay.
I go to every hotel and drop them off. I go up to the Comfort Suites and drop off Central Vermont, 300 of them or 200 of them up there.
What's a typical day for John Gales and Robin? A typical day.
Well, hopefully there's a workout in there somewhere.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then, well, we're working from the house. That's where our office is. Worldwide headquarters of Coffee Table Publishing. It's about 122 square foot office.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. But then I'm on the road, dropping stuff off or calling on people or, dropping off my card or information or whatever.
Yeah.
And that usually lasts till the late afternoon. Then come home, work a little bit. Then usually that's me and Luke's time, after dinner.
Yeah. And how old is Luke now? 14?
Yeah,
Whoa.
South Burlington High School. Doing very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's that old.
I know.
That's crazy.
I know, and he's
God.
just about as tall as me, so he's going to be much taller than me.
Wow. So what's something in one of these magazines that pops out in your mind as this is a must read? I know the Vermont Brewers Festival is something that's big. There's Oktoberfest that's huge, of course, in the fall.
Well, what we have coming up in Central, we did a whole section on the home, and it's beautiful. It's various advertisers that we have, and they sent in copy and pictures, and we edited and kind of designed it. But it's called Central Vermont Home. It's really nice. It's beautiful. It's top of mind because we just closed it out yesterday.
Yeah.
So I went through it and looked at it. But Robin did a phenomenal job, as she always does. In Burlington this summer, we have a health section called To Your Health, and it's everything from optics to dentistry to yoga to all of that.
Mind and healing is huge right now.
It is.
Huge.
And it's amazing what's going on. There's a couple places in Burlington that has some things going that you've never seen. There's a place in Montpelier that she does it's a kind of a submersion thing that you've never seen. It's amazing. It really is.
So how are you and Robin able to keep track of all of these festivals and not just coming up with the human interest stories, but these events and listings?
I forgot to mention, and forgive me, Amy. Amy McGovern, which some of you may know.
Amy.
Amy does all of our events. So she works at, she works for, she's on Cool 105 in the afternoons or middays.
Amazing voice.
Yeah, unbelievable. And she's just a nut. I don't know if you've ever met her, but I love her. Just energy. Oh, you've met her, but yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well, and when you meet Amy, you've met Amy.
No, and the reason why you've
she's one big ball of energy.
Well,
man. She's just phenomenal. But
and you've met Amy McGovern because within the first 15, 20 seconds, she's got a phone out and there's a selfie.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Constantly.
Absolutely,
yeah.
But she does our events, so that's how she gets a lot of them. We have 14 pages of events in Brewview, and that's an only 64-page product right there.
Wow.
But we cover Okemo and Killington and Stratton. Not Stratton, but Sugarbush, and so we try to cover Jay Smugs. So we try to cover events in that area. We'll do a page or two to that. Burlington Opera House is in it. Rutland Opera House is in it. Burlington Opera House is in Central. Dan sends us stuff that we need, and got a great relationship with him.
So folks come over from the Adirondacks, where they've already got quite a microbrew society up there in the Adirondacks, but they love to skip over the lake and come over and
I'm telling you, Vermont has got. And I didn't know what it was because there's different beers, but Vermont has got a reputation for making the best beer in the world.
Yeah,
their IPAs, their Indian Pale Ales, is mostly what's being done. And I don't want to get too much into the minutia of how it's done and who it made and the grains and the hops and the barleys and all that. I really don't, because that's not our purpose. I mean, if it's a great tasting beer, great. But there's so many people who like so many different different things that I don't want to get into that. What's better? But I will say that it's. I don't know. I mean, I'm actually looking at a little bit. I grew up in St. Charles, Missouri, and I'm looking at Missouri a little bit for Brewview. And is there any kind of I have a buddy of mine who's working on it for me right now.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy there too. It's just not. But anytime he mentions Vermont to them, they're immediately, that's the standard bearer right there. That's where we're trying to get to that point.
Sure.
And actually, St. Louis was just named one of the top 5 brew towns in the country, I think.
Yeah.
So
what's the one up there on Route 15? Again, I'm not sure.
Hill Farmstead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're an advertiser, but Boyden Farms?
Oh, Boyden Farms. Yeah, she is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what a place.
It is. And,
oh, my God.
They're constantly doing different things. I mean,
always.
My first issue, they had a Brut, champagne kind of thing, rosé kind of thing that they had. And then now they're doing their ciders and it's just and
you can get it in
you ever had Vermont Ice?
I have had Vermont Ice. Vermont Ice is probably one of my favorites. I like a Dirty Mayor too. That's it.
The Citizen Cider.
I love
Dirty
Citizen.
Mayor.
Yeah, that Vermont Ice is some fine.
That is Boyden.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Boyden.
But you can get on a canoe and go down the river a little bit right there too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. During the summer.
Put it in takeout right there.
Yeah.
That's so.
Well, one of the things that I'm doing in Brewview is I'm sending out, and I want response from craft retailers, craft beer sellers. I just met with cheese and wine traders up in Burlington today.
Oh wow!
But I want to know what's selling. If you had to turn somebody on to Vermont beer, what would be the one you did? You have they're not mostly they're not liquor sellers. There's some that have both, like right here.
Sure.
802 right down here. Beverage
Baron.
Yep. Yeah. So they have both, but what kind of wines are going out? What kind of just to kind of see what's popular.
Yeah.
What's going on.
And then there's another one on Route 7 down there. The Champlain is it Champlain Orchards?
Well, Shelburne Vineyard.
Vineyard. Maybe
beautiful,
that's what I'm thinking
beautiful building,
Unreal.
beautiful tasting. Gail, I know Gail. She's an advertiser in Burlington and in Brewview. Well, she's not in Brewview, but I cover her, so to speak. But she, they do it right. They have just a really nice place.
Blueberry wine.
Yeah.
If you had it.
Well, no, I have not.
Oh.
I've had their the more sparkly wine. I forget what it was, but it was very good.
Yeah. Wow. So the magazines, and I know we could talk about Brew here all day, but these 2 magazines, so it's mostly a lifestyle magazine.
And same with Brewview, but yes, it's lifestyle. It absolutely is lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important, like with the best ofs, to cover things like fashion, childcare, things like that, hikes, equipment. We've done Onion River Outdoors. Caroline, their marketing person, and Jen and Kip own it. They're fabulous for if we need something, they get it to us. Like we did a layout of winter snowshoes.
Yeah.
Equipment and how much it costs and the description of it. And,
I think I read that.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff, that, and a lot of them are pets, dogs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there's so many. Speaking of which, I know we're kind of hopping back between magazine and magazine here, but Brewview, there's so many of these breweries that are pet
Dog
friendly.
Yeah, we did that was one of our.
Man.
That was probably the most popular article we did in our first issue.
Yeah.
Was the dog friendly places.
And isn't the one up in Greensboro? Isn't that dog friendly? I think it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then
there's Lost Nation up there, Morrisville, and
Lost Nation.
Rock
I've
Art.
never been to Lost Nation or Rock Art, but
I understand Lost Nation's the food's fabulous.
Yeah.
Rock Art's terrific. I don't know if you've ever had a Rock Art beer, but it's very good.
There's another one over in Danville too.
It's Red Barn.
Red Barn.
Yeah. I know them all now.
I know you do. I know you do. Is there one that you don't have yet that maybe is saying, "Hey, John,
Coffee Table Publishing at Comcast.net.
Yes. You could say that again.
Yeah. Coffee Table Publishing at Comcast.net.
One that maybe hasn't bitten the hook yet on Brewview.
Oh, well, you mean breweries that aren't in yet?
Yeah.
No, there's plenty, but they will, or if they can afford it. But I try and help them out anyway.
Sure.
We have a What's New section that I don't care if you've bought advertising or not. Send me your newest release and a picture of it and a 50-word description because we want to promote the industry.
Sure.
If we can get 50 people that came through a rest area to pull into Red Barn up in Danville to have a tasting, good for them. Good for us.
Sure. Look at this, Prohibition Pig in
just bought
in Waterbury.
Yeah.
You walk into the front doors, and that's one thing, but please don't forget about going out back.
Oh, yeah.
You got to go
More people are
back.
going out back first, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
There's a place.
And then right across the road.
Yeah, it's Craft Beer Cellars.
The Craft Beer Cellars.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, and unbelievable selection.
Oh.
He's in this.
I've never seen selection like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
very
impressive.
And
there's a lot like that. And that's what we're trying to do is spotlight them, let people know. I'm on Facebook. There's Vermont Craft Beer Lovers page or something. I must have saw 4 things before this weekend of people asking where to pick up something because they're coming through, or one guy was coming through from Montreal, another person was coming up for the weekend. Where can I stock up before I head back home? And then they show it. Then they'll drop $300 and then they stack them all up on their table and take a picture and say, "What do you think?" And it's Foley Brothers and Bent Hill and I mean just so much stuff. We're going to do a story on this one. There's a brewery in Virgins called Hired Hand, and they own a restaurant too. Ian is the chef. Phenomenal food. Hired Hand, when you drink their beer, every ingredient that in beer came from a 20-mile radius of that.
Wow.
Beer. That's what he wants. He wants local.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you think of these new beers that are coming out now? Well, this new trendy thing where brewing beer out of this and that and this and that and getting a lot of attention in the national spotlight. I know that IHOP, the International House of Pancakes, is brewing a beer with pancake batter. Mm-hmm. And, you can also get beer brewed from elephant dung.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are flash-in-the-pan stuff.
You do?
I do. I sincerely do. Something to talk about. Gee, I had elephant dung beer.
What's the weirdest brew you've had, you think?
Well, you did kind of do a little research for me on that, and I think the elephant dung beer was pretty bad. And, I don't know.
But anything you've taste tested though?
No, I don't taste test any of that. Yeah. But there's chocolate raspberry beers coming out. There's stouts with chocolates. There's coffee infused beer.
There was something in here about that, wasn't there? Yeah. The eighth annual from Wine Chocolate
that was
Weekend
last month
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, the Wine Chocolate Weekend. That's awesome. That's
it is
fun too. There is constant stuff. Four Quarters Brewery and brewing in Winooski.
Yeah,
he constantly has something new that he's doing. It's amazing. Look at the distillers. Smuggler's Notch Distillery. This is a couple years ago. Made a rum that was cask in bourbon barrels. And it tasted like bourbon to a certain extent. I mean, it was extremely good, but it was a rum. You're seeing that all the time. You're seeing different casks of stuff made in bourbon barrels or maple barrels or that kind of stuff where they sit.
Yeah.
And they absorb all that flavoring.
Sure.
But yeah, you're seeing a lot of that going on.
Well, isn't there one? I'm thinking off the cuff here. Isn't there one up in Hardwick, Bar?
That's coming to Montpelier. It's Caledonia Spirits.
And
it's Bar Hill Gin.
Bar Hill.
Phenomenal. From my understanding, I'm not a gin drinker, but I understand that gin is fabulous. But it's not just your, gin and tonics or your martinis.
Yeah.
They're have it. I mean, and also Moscow Mules, I think, are made with gin now.
Okay.
And ginger beer.
Yeah,
which is
ginger beer.
Halyard is brewed in South Burlington. We did a story on them. So yeah, it's the point is that nobody's sitting still.
No. Look at the hemp infused.
Yeah. Well, that's
beers.
a whole nother thing. We're gonna do the whole CBD stuff, and
there's so many. John.
Well, we're gonna do a whole section on it and what's
up
available,
in Canada,
what it is.
Up in Canada, Coors and.
Oh, I know. Well, the cannabis industry is going to take off. I mean, I don't know why Vermont legalized it first and then came about and said, "Oh, okay, now we're going to tax it and sell it."
I just bought 100 shares of stock. In
I have stock in
CBD
it. Yeah,
CBD companies.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah. How many shares do you have?
None of your damn business.
Who do you have it with? How's the stock doing today?
I'll
show you mine here.
I haven't checked it
if
today.
you want.
I have not checked it today. I have a client who is a very knowledgeable man in that industry.
Yeah.
And he kind of.
It's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Is it in beer yet in Vermont?
It's starting to. There's a CBD infused beer. There's two of them now that I can't. Robin's got them written down because we were going to do a story. But here in Vermont, I can't remember who they are.
I love having you on, and I hope you're going to come back soon. Kudos to you and Bob and Robin and all of your team that makes up this magazine. These incredible quarterlies that come out, folks. You can find them everywhere, and if you can't, get on their websites. If you Google Best of Burlington or Best of Central Vermont, you're going to find it in a half a second, or BrewViewVT.com.
Anytime, any of these magazines, when you go on their website, just hit in print, or the latest issue will be on a scrolling page. There's 3 of them that scroll. Sure. But click on it, just scroll down, and you can read the entire magazine.
And there's stuff
online.
You're going to find online that you're not going to find.
Yeah, we do
magazine.
online exclusives. For Central Vermont, we're going to have a little fashion thing that some people had sent us. Some of the businesses.
Pleasure to have you, man.
Good seeing you again.
John Gales, our guest this time around, aired out, Fly on the Wall Productions and CVTV, bringing it to you. Public Access Television 192 and 194 at CVTV723.org. Thanks to our other sponsor, Peak Entertainment of Vermont and New Hampshire. Weddings and parties and special events, peakdj.com. FGB Theaters, Capitol Showplace in Montpelier, and Paramount Theater in Barrie, where they just had the new Disney Marvel superhero flick, Captain Marvel, this week's top movie in the United States and in Canada, $153 million in its debut weekend. CBDcrave.com, superior quality brands shipped straight to your door. Quench the crave. CBDcrave.com. and Fontaine Forestry and Millworks of East Montpelier. We want to thank you again for subscribing, for sharing, for liking, for commenting. Spread the word. We'll catch you next time around. I'm J.D. Green for Aired Out.